our Awakening to the Golden Age series. We have been going since the 23rd of November, and every night, as you know, there's been a wonderful topic where we've discussed all sorts of things concerning our health, our home, our food, and our businesses. And there's more to come on the businesses shortly, but we've been talking, as I say, on all different things from nutrition to detoxification, to building the immunity, to restoring the DNA, to understanding the current play out of what's really going on behind the vaccinations and viruses and things. And we've also discussed about indigenous gardening. We've discussed about vegetable growing. We've discussed about fermentation. That's where you make the food more intelligent for the body. And we've talked about also the home light, opening spaces, the heating of the house. We talked about sustainability and off-grid living. And I think in 2 days' time, in fact, it's a Friday, I'm going to be talking about business and economy and a little bit on investing. And in particular, it will be about your own businesses, if it's a health business or whatever business you're in. So those are the wonderful topics that we've been discussing, and it's been an honor to be presenting to you. So today we're going to talk about the benefits of sprouting and also other highly intelligent foods. And I think those of you who know me by now know that everything that I'm doing is about our vibration. It's about, let me get this straight, it's about raising and activating our DNA, and it's about raising the charge on the body electric, so that we have a fundamental electric charge to then take us forward into the day and the night, etc. And then we consume electrons to keep that charge going. Okay, and it's simple as this: the higher the frequency of the food that you eat, the higher your frequency is going to be. It's just an obvious thing. You don't really need to be a professor of anything to understand that. So the higher the intensity, the denser, the quicker the electrons are spinning, the higher our energy levels. And that keeps the body healthy. That enables the body to ward off infections, to not be trapped in fear, to not be trapped in sorrow and depression and desperation. Because that kind of electron spin is what the brain needs as well. It's what we need to work on ourselves emotionally and spiritually. So it covers all those spectrums. Very, very, very important. And tomorrow night at same time, I'm going to be doing a short presentation on the events and things that we've been talking about now. But I'm going to go into talking about the products specifically of 365 Healthy by Choice. What does the flaxseed oil do? What does the almost gold do? What does the microbiome reset do? Etc. etc. What does the oxygen do? So that you can then, start resetting your bodies as well, and help other people as well. We did a presentation once with Professor Desiree Dubonnet, and she said to us that 6 million of the 7 million people on the planet have a flat battery. And she basically said only 3 million of the 6 can afford to come and get their battery charged. So it's a massive syndrome. People are worn down, they're worn out, the adrenals are low. I mean, people who practice practitioners will vouch for that as well. People who aren't practitioners will also vouch for it, because they're going to tell you, yes, that's true. That's exactly how I feel as well. So this is important. So therefore, if we then take some step backwards, let's just look briefly at those foods that have got a very high electron spin. Those foods that have the building block proteins, long chain sugars, minerals, vitamins, phytonutrients, the antioxidants, to support our bodies on every level necessary. And in doing so, we will then gather momentum and get a higher and a higher and a higher state of energy. It doesn't mean that you don't look after yourself and you work late and you throw lifestyle factors out of the window. That's not what we're meaning at all. This is in addition to taking time to rest, to exercise, to be with good company, to expand your mind academically, to look at the environment, to look at agroecology and where your food comes from, to look at home ecology, the space where you live in, to look at your spiritual side. So all of these little variants are important and are accelerated, and we can increase their spin by increasing the spin of ours, and then we evolve to a higher level, 5-dimensional space, 6, 7. The sky's the limit, I'm sure. So this is the point. It's a question of getting the basic building blocks right, and that's what I understood right from the beginning. When I started practicing, this was my main aim, was to get it right. And of course, I think you all know, I observed the plants. I trained myself up in biodynamic organic vegetable and fruit and berry growing, and I saw about the soil, and I saw about growing the most intelligent food for myself, the food that had the highest nutrient value, as mentioned, and I've spoken about that in other courses as well. So we need to get this really high intensity, high electron spin food into our bodies, and it's very, very tasty. And once you have that together with, if it's grown, organically, you will have a very high mineral content. And once your minerals are satisfied and you've got enough protein, which I might just tell you, I've looked at studies of the amount of amino acids in kale leaf versus the standard animal lentils, legumes, nuts, proteins, and you'll be amazed. And it's really readily available. Completely available, and the amount of energy to digest that protein versus, let's say, the dense protein in a meat is not comparable. So you're basically getting food and you're ending up with a higher energy level. Something like spirulina is my favorite example, because you take a tablespoon of spirulina powder, you take a tablespoon of minced chicken, let's say. There's more protein in the spirulina to start with. Spirulina is 70% dry weight protein. The first food on the planet that's synthesized and crystallized out of the atmosphere, out of the nitrogen in the atmosphere. So protein is nitrogen. And then you consume the spirulina in tablet form, capsule form, in a smoothie, or however. You don't heat it. You don't need to heat it, of course. So you're eating that concentrated high electron spin protein immediately. It even starts getting absorbed through the mucous membranes of your mouth, and you instantly have energy. And you have a higher energy level because your body didn't have to sift through the growth hormone and the antibiotics and all the denseness of the cooked, then cooked chicken mince, because we cook it, right? Once you cook protein, 10 to 20% is only bioavailable to the body. The rest, what happens to it? It causes fibrin, protein fibers in the body. It causes protein buildup in the kidneys. It causes acidity. It reduces the immune system, because the immune system and everything's trying to sort out this heated protein. Takes your energy away. That's why you often feel sleepy. Those people who eat huge amounts of meat and a Sunday afternoon roast or whatever you're doing, you feel sleepy because your body is tired from trying to sort out this, the food that you've eaten. So what I'm sharing with you is to increase your electron spin and to have the highest available energy to do what you need to do, and to have the strongest immune system and the most active DNA, is we need to eat super intelligent foods. Most of them are plant foods. So this is the way we move forward and get into the space. So the algae, I've started there, I'll come back to sprouts. The blue-green algae, chlorella, spirulina. There's also red algae. Those algae, there's kelp, which is a brown algae. So red and brown kelp algae are grown in salt water, and spirulina, chlorella, blue-green algae are grown in fresh water, in the sweet water. Okay, but they both have very high mineral content, of course. Different spectrum, different electron spin, different varieties, different molecular structure, different atoms. We want to give our body a variety. Because I saw when I grew plants and I gave the plant a variety of different nutrients, it created an unbelievable plant. And similarly with us. So we want a cross-section. So those plants are available. I have them encapsulated. I have them in my smoothie boosts. And that's basically what I live on. I love that kind of food. And just to say that the ancient Aztecs grew those huge bodies on spirulina and hemp seed protein. And they were warriors. They weren't, just placid, completely placid. They were literally warriors. So just to say, so we can get hold of some of these things. We can change different things in our shopping basket is what I always tell people. You start buying different things. Your shopping basket changes shape. And instead of the white bread and the heated oil and the sweets and the white potato and all of those things, we're now buying different things, which are doing different things for us and our entire body on all these different levels. Okay. And so we do need to be more plant-based, and we want the intelligent ones. So the other intelligent ones, which I'll be speaking about tomorrow as well, are the medicinal mushrooms. They grow out of the long trunk of the tree. They're not on the ground, and they're not either those hallucinating mushrooms either. These are medicinal mushrooms: reishi, chaga, shiitake, maitake, lion's mane, cordyceps, Coriolis, also known as turkey tail. Magnificent. So as far as the research goes, they are not of this planet. They come in from an intergalactical space. And the spores fly down because, as we know, we are being fed every single minute, 24/7, by cosmic dust. And in that cosmic dust, it's a generic term, are frequencies. They are DNA, RNA fragments, protein fragments, just to tell you, to evolve the human body and to evolve our DNA. This has been happening since time in the beginning, as well as in the solar flares, the photons from the sunlight. So we are getting DNA activated. We are getting fed 24/7 just by going outside. And the breath we take and the water we breathe and the ground electrons. So these are superfoods. These are superfoods, if you really want to know. And they're bringing in the vibration for us. They're bringing in the electron density. And along with them, some of the algae, and then you also consume these medicinal mushrooms, you are on another plane. They have an unbelievable intelligence, as do the algae. They know what to do. They are like computerized. They come into the body and they know where to go, what to do. If you take a reishi mushroom, for example, anyway, it looks like a kidney. Some of them also look heart-shaped. They work on the kidneys, the heart, and the brain. They work on cholesterol lowering. They're adaptogenic. They lower our stress levels. They work with us. They're nutrient dense. Complete proteins. So these are the foods that are giving us that electrification, if you want, but a biological electricity and magnetism, and putting us firmly on the ground and grounding us. So if you've had the opportunity of going into forests and foraging and finding these beautiful fruiting bodies, the reishi mushrooms, for example, the chaga mushrooms, I saw a lot of those in Russia. You're blessed, and you turn the mushroom up, the fruiting body upside down, you leave it in the sun for a day or so, and it's done, it's ripened, it's ready for you, and you can grind it up, you can make tea, you can make reishi tea, for example, and so on. So those are great. And then another very great superfood nutrient is the bees and the beehives. So talking about pollen, propolis, and royal jelly, and obviously honey. So we're all very familiar with honey, and honestly, just to say that they've found honey in the Egyptian tombs that was over 5,000 years old, perfectly intact. Honey and pollen and the bee products contain an enormous amount of enzymes. So as a practitioner, when you're working with algae, medicinal mushrooms, and the beehive, the pollen products and bee products, you kind of get an intuitive feeling as to which one or which two go together, what you need to do. So the algae are very, very good for brain and bone marrow and red blood cells and white blood cells and platelets and immunity on that level. The medicinal mushrooms will work everywhere as well. They will also work in the brain, particularly lion's mane. So I like to use blue-green algae and lion's mane and Siberian ginseng for, let's say, ADD people, attention deficit people. Just really anchors them, it pulls them in. It gives them the long-chain sugars that the brain needs. Not the short, sweet ones, not the monosaccharides, the long one, the polysaccharides, disaccharides. So you just learn. So with the bee products, it's a lot about infertility. It's a lot about building RNA. So the pollen will do that. So will chlorella. Those are the two superfoods that grow beautiful and enhance the RNA and the DNA, just by the way. And for fertility, for allergies, believe it or not, for connective tissue, and then again, the immunity, the amino acids, and everything else that goes with it. So they produce, royal jelly will produce egg cells. And I have testimonies on that as well. So they really are adult stem cell activating products. Adult stem cell activating products. And I have an Activa cell product. It's called Activa. And it's got 5 of these top products in. And I'm telling you, that's all you need. In my stress defense shield, those products are there as well, plus a whole lot of other things, because I've put 30 products together there. So doing different things. And you can actually take both. You can take a capsule of the Activa and a capsule of the stress defense shield, or the brain fuel, or the extreme performance boost. They all have the same base. And the main base is the raw cacao, because that is an amazing food. Amazing food. Anyway, more on that tomorrow. So I wanted just to whet your appetite this evening and talk about these really amazing superfoods that we have available to us. We also have them in frequency. We have them on the matrix, on the QUEX, the Adductor, the Skio devices that we use. So we are able to trickle feed from an electromagnetic point of view, a 3-dimensional energetic signature to your body, which is pure bee pollen in its pure form. And that's why I don't like doing tinctures. I don't like doing any manufacturing at all, because you lose the DNA of the plant, you lose the intelligence of the plant, you lose the life force. So who wants to do that? Let's take that plant as nature intended it, literally. Dry it in the sun, whatever needs to happen. You can use a metal and porcelain, and you can grind it up, and it's done. It's ready for you. Okay, so that's where I operate from, exactly as nature intended it. Nature knows the best. It's how it needs to be. So that's really useful information, I think, and different things to put in your shopping basket. It's all available on the 365 Healthy by Choice website, either in powder form or encapsulated form in a vegetable capsule made of plant cellulose, plant cell wall. We all need it. It's a prebiotic. So everything is just completely in harmony. No fillers, no binders, or anything like that. That's been my aim, to create a product and a nutrient range that raises the bar. And one of the top managers at one of the health and homeopathic pharmacies in the country basically turned around and said to everyone, listen, this range raises the bar. So I was very excited and blessed to hear that. And I really do know what I'm talking about regarding this. And I have many practitioners coming and joining and learning and becoming adept at the nutrient-dense foods, as food is medicine. And I really do believe that's what Hippocrates meant. I don't believe he meant a McDonald's or any other greasy sort of burger. Processed food was our medicine. Not at all. It was on a much higher level. And these are the foods that people use to increase their ascendance, to transcend, to meditate properly. If you go into the dark rooms at the Thai garden in Thailand, one of the prerequisites is that you up your consumption of blue-green algae before you go there, because of the powers that it has. So it's just very vast. I mean, every day, every week, I'm learning more and more about my own products. So it's really a dynamic situation. The point is I take them. And included in that is the Ormus Gold, is a magnificent superfood, because Ormus is the platinum precious metal minerals, gold, silver, copper, nickel, palladium, osmium, rhodium. And the modern medicine is finding out now that, for example, palladium will gun for degenerative cancer cells. So it's in the medical journals already. We have it right here in front of us. We have it in a bottle form, in liquid form. And the ancient wise people knew about it, because they would be looking for the white gold powder. So if I powdered my almost gold from the milk to the powder, it's the same thing, but it's an extra process, and the milk is perfect. So again, it's just a superfood that's been known, and it should be in the soil, it should be in our food, and it's not. So our organs and our cells internally and intracellular and extracellularly are missing the almost gold. They're missing the potential that needs to be held between all the cells, and you see it with the red blood cells as well. So when I put my blood under the microscope, I know my cells are beautiful. They're circulating. They're not touching, which is dreadful. If your cells are touching, they're sticky. It's another story. But we need to get everything circulating, everything with the right charge, not touching. Electrons should not touch. So, I'm sharing that with you, and many of you have heard me talk about it. I'm giving a little bit of more details today. And we need that gold. And there's more almost gold on the planet than there is solid three-dimensional gold. Okay. And you get it when it rains. You get it at the seaside. And obviously, if you're growing biodynamic organic foods, permaculture foods, cruci foods, you are going to be getting a big dose of ormus in those foods already. And then needless to say, the super foods, the medicinal mushrooms, the algae, the pollens have innate ormus. It's part of their vibration, and that is why we consume them. And we don't, there's ginseng and there's ginseng. You can buy cheap ginseng and you can buy quality ginseng. You can buy cheap turmeric and a quality turmeric. And it's vastly different. And you can buy a turmeric with a certificate of analysis. All my products, every single one of them has a certificate of analysis. And that means I'm guaranteeing you that that product was grown properly. It has all the molecules it needs, and it doesn't have the chemicals, the pesticides, the mercury, the heavy metals, the uraniums, etc. Okay, so if we're lucky to get it organic, that's great too. Much of the stuff is wild harvested. So wild harvested is where it's completely in nature. So the lavender fields in France are not wild harvested. It's not wild harvested. They were grown. All right. A wild harvester would be a tea, like we've got a rooibos tea in South Africa, a red bush tea, and that grows naturally. That is, and then you go and take those leaves in the wild. That is wild harvesting. Okay. The next is organic harvesting, where humans have grown it. Okay. So wild harvested plant always has a much higher frequency and is far more nutrient dense, and its adaptogenic potential is much greater. Okay, so adaptogenic herbs feed us too. They are grown in extreme conditions, really, really cold, really, really hot, really, really dry. And because they have an adaptogenic nature, they adapt to your body's needs. It's just too marvelous. Everything is there. The medicine is in nature's pharmacy. Nature made. We've got to be moving to nature made, back to nature made. And the 5,000-year-old Chinese, Ayurvedic, European, American, South American doctors and shamans all knew this. They knew what our bodies needed. So we can quickly relearn it again, just to say. So that's my bit on that. But it's a little bit on the sprouting, because the sprouts contain the amino acid building blocks, but loads of them. So they're the starting blocks. And when you consume sprouts, they immediately get used in the body to pick up on deficiencies on protein levels. And they are an incredible amount of energy. The electron spin is very tight and very fast. They take about a day or two or three to sprout, literally. And if you're having a look, you want to know about sprouting and fermentation, just have a look on my YouTube channel, the Jane McKenzie YouTube channel, and you'll see the fermented foods one. It's quite a long one, so just fast forward to the fermentation side, and I've talked about sprouts there. I've talked about sprouting before, also on that channel. So, that being said, we have at our disposal, even in wintertime, if it's cold and freezing and nothing's growing outside, you can make yourself sprouts. They grow amazingly inside where it's warm. They just grow. So that's just really good. Really making the food intelligent. And then you're getting your organic fruits, seeds, nuts, much higher frequency than commercially grown. Way, way higher. And we can pick it up and we can measure it. So that's the story there on eating, really, really super foods is what I call them. And, I do really laugh because people talk about kelp and it being organic and, organic spirulina and things like that. It's all organic because it's grown naturally. Most of it's wild harvested. So some of the kelp can be in poisoned water. I do accept that. So an organic stamp, certification stamp is important. Don't accept organic, because that'll start me on another whole discussion. Unless you see the actual certification on the plant, on the packet or the bundle, whatever you're buying, do not take it for granted that it's organic at all. It could have been grown in someone's garden. It may well be organic, but there's no certification. So you don't know which kroll manure they used. Right, because there's kroll manure and there's kroll manure. How did I find this out? I asked the questions. So when the cows are in the feeding lots, all right, and their droppings are falling down, they come and they grab it, scrape it off the ground. Because they've scraped it off the ground, they can call it organic. Do me a favor, but it's literally sitting with all the hormones, the growth hormones, the antibiotics, and everything else, the sprayed pellets that the cow's eating inside it. So you're not getting organic. Oh my gosh, it is such a nightmare. See, so there's kroll manure that's from a cow that's been in the field, and they've gone and collected that kroll manure. And there's kroll manure that they pick up outside the feeding lot. Radically different. Who wants to put that kind of manure in their soil and eat the food that comes out of that? Because it's likelihood the plants are going to have all the pesticides, the heavy metals, the diseases, the growth hormones, the synthetic everything from the cow. Be aware. If we're using that kroll manure to make compost, we can burn a lot of it away because we get the temperatures to get really high. We can burn a lot of it away. And when we change it from organic to inorganic back to organic, we do burn a lot of it away. That's true. And let me tell you something else also. If that's all you have, nature is forgiving. You can put in loads of probiotics, the liquid probiotics. They will go and scavenge a lot of the pathogens and the metals and the pesticides in your vegetable bed. We can get things closely back to nature, but we don't have to start at the point where we're starting with poisoned material. See, and kroll manure is the best because the cow has got 7 stomachs, and they ruminate. They've got corns that do this, and it brings in the cosmic energy. But what do the farmers do? They cut the horns off because when they're going in the feeding lots and they're going to give milk or whatever they cut them off because they're dangerous to each other. So they cut off the cosmic antenna of the cow. I mean, we've really have damaged everything. We've really taken things to quite an extreme as far as I'm concerned. We've even got now synthetic meat. So it's really, this is what we've created. So we need to backtrack a bit. So in any case, just to say, when we're talking organic, we're talking high electron spin, we must just always look at the source of that food. And when we can develop our intuitive powers as well, we can feel the electrons, we can feel the energy. Okay, right now I'm busy doubling my vegetable patches. I'm looking that side because they're there, and I'm putting in huge circles. And I'm doubling, as I say, I'm doubling my capacity. So we've got fruits, berries, anything from cucumber to radishes to beans, 42 different kinds of beans, all the leaves. So we've got the cruciferous, the broccolis, the cauliflowers, the kales. We've got also the spinaches, and we've got the lettuces. Each one of them have a different aspect. And I'll talk on that one day as well. They're feeding us differently. The leaves feed the lungs. The roots feed the brain. The seeds and the flowers feed the reproductive part of us. See, so something like an ashwagandha that's grown, the roots, when you consume those roots, it does amazing things for the brain. More on that to come. But and I really urge you all, I'm digging up the grass, literally, and I'm making veggie beds everywhere. And many people are doing this as well. And I think that's also thanks to lockdown. We've kind of got even a heightened awareness. And so I'm going to grow extra and grow more different varieties. Good. So, any questions? Are you all enthused? Are you ready to go and activate your DNA? Remember, chlorella and bee pollen, okay, will make RNA, right? The other product I have, the replica RNA DNA, that those nuclear proteins are grown by yeasts for us. And the yeast is obviously washed off, and then we're left with a handful of 5 nuclear proteins which build the RNA and the DNA for us. We have to have the building blocks. Okay. Cool. And tomorrow we're starting the Turning Point events. I haven't advertised it, but I'm advertising it. I took a little bit of a day off today. And I saunaed, and I was in the sun a lot, and my feet on the ground. They are anyway, but today I took a bit of time off. I even rested. So I'm getting ready for the 21st. We're getting ready for our shadow workshop on the 21st. And I've got some Turning Point events right now. So it'll be 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th. 4 Turning Point events over the next 4 days, all beginning at the same time as today, 7 o'clock South African time, Greenwich Mean Time +2, Eastern will be +7. Oh no, Eastern will be Greenwich Mean Time +5. I'm getting my world clock sorted. Okay, and anything else, text me, put on the group, and let's keep driving forward, guys. We're in an amazing space right now. Okay, thank you so much. And don't forget the website. You can go and get all these products there. The delivery companies are still working, I checked.